Okay, before we look at the campaign for Boyz will be Boys and some replays, etc, etc, I thought I would run you through what mods I'm using for this playthrough and this campaign I'm doing, and what I've been using just to test it out. So, Mod Manager, it's quite a bit of an old version. I think there's a newer version out at the moment, and I'll be doing a video on Mod Manager when Cowdrin, I think his name is going to do a newer version which is going to be more integrated with Steam apparently. So what I'll do a little demo of that instead, and we'll go for this one first. Okay, so what have we got? So obviously we've got Boyz will be Boys. We've also got the units pack. Quite the units pack. I always like it. I like Radius. I don't like tons of units, but I do like the odd one, just a bit of a game changing things. So the Empire have got a few, and now Chaos have got a few, which I'm gonna go through later. Also got an animation rework because I'm playing Empire, and I think this works with most factions now. Instead of them jumping in like mad fools, this cuts out those animations and it looks a bit more. It's more simple, but it looks a bit more effective. I just prefer it, I have to admit. I might do its own little video on that as well, to be fair. So, settlement packs, just to make the siege battles a bit more interesting. Unique faction capitals, speaks for itself. It's when you on the world map, which I'll show you later. You get in like Old Dwarf is more distinctive now. You can see it growing as you upgrade it. It just makes it a bit more. It's like an old Total War games. I just like the feature. I think it's a personal preference, that one. Pretty much the same thing. Approved border cores. Better camera mod. That's for me for zooming in when I'm doing any designs and things, any videos. Another part of the main pack. More of the uniques, the settlement packs. Region trading pack. That's for exchanging regions with the AI. Makes life a bit more interesting than Empire, I find. I'll be doing a video on that as well. That just makes perfect sense to me. No great power penalty, so when you get massive, everyone wants to be at war with you. It's very annoying when you're playing as Empire. Probably most factions actually, so I was just starting to use that. I have to admit, I quite enjoy it. And then the framework pack. That's just for, I believe one of these needs it. I believe it's a region trading pack, but don't hold you that. I'm pretty sure it is though. Okay, and that's all I've got there for you. Right, let's get into the campaign. This mod does not make many changes in the campaign, but it does bring unit cap, so it is worth a quick video to show how this works. When you construct a new equipment building, such as stables for Cav, you can see on the 2 tip, this gives you so many units of a particular type of Cav you can recruit. If you build many of these in different cities across the map, you can expand this restriction, so you get more of that type of unit. So building as stables gives me a capacity of +2 across all my armies for Pistiers. I think I can keep a grade in this building, give me more types of units, and increasing the amount of Pistiers I can get, until I max out the chain with the Demigryph Knights. I can have this building in another place, say in Russamund, if I have space, and keep increasing my capacity across my armies. Similar, some buildings will give me extra capacity for rare units, such as Middenheim, where if it is the place I can recruit the Guard and the Knights of the White Wolf. Also, I can build regiments of various units in the army. This allows me to create 1 unit of each type for every army building I have. These units are double your standard size and have buffs for being a horde unit, and can also provide encouragement to nearby troops and reload skills for missile troops. The horde units are featured in factions such as Greenskins, Vampire Counts, Skaven, Warriors of Chaos, Norsca, Lizardmen, the Wood Elf, being the Dryads, and Beastmen and Batonia. First off, for the new units, for the Empire are archers. As you can see, they are a mixed bunch of hunters, trappers and state troops. This unit is more of the Atta, a small regiment of troops providing the Empire some light missile fire. In the game, they provide a small niche providing some support to the main line at a cheap cost. They are the cheapest missile units in the Empire roster at 560. 100 points cheaper than crossbow, so you can get a couple to bolster your army when money is tight. Unlike the crossbow or gunpowder units, they provide only 1 armour piercing, so put them into armies that fight against low armour troops such as vampire counts, greenskins, Norsca, etc. Then targeting the white units so they can do maximum damage because they'll do nothing against a Graveguard or Black Orc unit. Also, they can only skirmish, so that they have to run if the enemy gets too close. Something to keep in mind if the enemy break through your ranks and they'll be running for the hills providing no fire. They can move into a more useful formation so they will not receive huge losses when fighting against other missile units. The extra unit ability they do get is a leadership buff in forest. Coming from a hunter background, they are more secure in these surroundings, so they get a plus 10 leadership bonus. For a low leadership unit, a good bonus to have. The huntsmen have fewer state troops and are more based on the hunters of the forest. This makes them more expensive at 640, but this unit being a bit better in hand-to-hand combat if they get into it. Also, they can vanguard, so if you want to use some ambush tactics, this unit can provide that. The Empire, on the whole, have a limited vanguard units apart from some regiments of renown. So even though this unit is restricted to 2 units, you can vanguard these with Stirwin's Revenge to provide some franking fire, or yank them up with Zintwer's Right Guard. Like the archers, they get a skirmisher buff running forest, and the plus 10 for leadership bringing this unit to 70 is a very nice way to keep them in the fighting if away from the main force. Other than that, they have the same abilities as the archers, so it could be the ideal counters to any vanguarded, lightly armoured forces. As before, they can only go in skirmish mode. Okay, up next is the Imperial Foot. They are the infantry arm of the Empire Cavalry or Wax Guard Cavalry. This unit is in full plate armour and are a crack fighting force and come in the same value as other elite infantry, such as great swords, have the 880 mark in custom battle. Unlike great swords, they come in with more on the defensive side, wielding a shield and making them a bit more durable in combat. Handy to bolster your front line next to the less armoured swordsman, but can they also dish out a bit more damage and have a more armour piercing attack at 11, compared to a swordsman's 5. A tough unit with high armour, good leadership, and the unit ability of stubborn, gives them more chance to recover from shock. Put them in the front line with supporting units and they won't be the first troops to fray and will help keep the line together a bit longer. But they are limited to 2 units per an army. An elite bodyguard unit, hand-picked from the cavalry unit, the Knights of the White Wolf, and coming at the same price as other elite infantry in the Boyz to Boyz mod at 880, but only 2 of these are allowed in an army. Branching huge warhammers, these units bring 50% armour piercing damage. They are better than charging greatswords and have a few more points in melee attack. Like the greatswords and Imperial Foot, they bring stubborn to the battlefield and bring an extra unit ability. Crush the weak. When they are winning in combat, they get a combat buff to increase the damage for 40 seconds and the melee attack. So weaken a unit with missile fire or hand-to-hand combat and bring this unit up on the flank or straight through the front line to finish them off nice and quick. A very handy unit, just to add a bit more bite to the front line and finish those annoying weaker units who can slow down your advance. An iconic unit now, the Knights of the White Wolf, which has a long history in the Warhammer world. A bodyguard unit of the priest heroic and have been seen throughout the Empire doing quests and missions or just riding into battle wielding their large warhammers. A tough, hard-hitting cavalry brings some much needed armour piercing to the front line. Heavily clad in armour and sporting some good stats, they are more expensive than an Empire unit of cavalry at 1300, making them the equivalent of the Knights of the Blazing Sun. They may be a bit weaker on defence, but this unit is made to charge into weaker units and quickly get the crush the weak buff, as the equivalent infantry unit does. When this is activated, they boost even greater damage and with the charge bonus will crush most units. Only 2 of these units are allowed for an army, but get them in the right spot and at the right time and you can see their kills go much higher than the Blazing Sun or the Empire Knights cavalry. Keep them moving, picking on weaker targets due to their lack of defence and use their buff to break a unit and then they can quickly move on to the next target. Getting them bogged down in infantry and anything which is a bonus against large foes will just waste their units. Now onto the Warriors of Chaos's new units. First up, is the Censors of Nurgle, an interesting unit to go into the front line. First thing to talk about is their expert charge defense, means keeping them still will soak up any damage the enemy can throw at you. On the flip side though, they have their best combat stat is their Yarge Challenge bonus, and for an infantry to have such a Yarge bonus is quite rare. So, do you take the hit or counter with a Yarge charge of your own? It's your choice. With 4 of these mid-tier units possible in your army, and bringing some extra units to the front line because they have a stack of 100, they come in at 880, so it puts them above the standard Chaos Warriors, but of course have more men. We also bring an interesting unit ability with the Swarm of Flies debuff, which drops enemy melee attack by 5. So if you space a couple of these units out and mix them with some more elite troops, you can make your enemy hit yes and give you more elite forces and an easier time of it. Being that you'll be outnumbered in the front line most of the time, yes damage is always good. Champions of the Raven replace the Inspiring Champions unit of the vanilla game, while still providing their encouragement bonus. They also bring more units to the table as they come with 40 instead of the 16 you get in vanilla. They bring a ward save and missile resistance of 8%, and you can only have one of these in your army. With magical attacks as well as good armor piercing values, they bring some more extra killing power to your front line. With the Boyz to Boyz mod, Chaos Warriors across the board have the Buff the Eye of Gods and the Gifts of Chaos. Eye of the Gods brings a constant buff to the Warriors of Chaos of +4 in melee and in defense, where the Gifts of Chaos brings a stacking buff as long as the unit is winning, gradually getting better as long as they can keep fighting. Something to keep in mind, especially getting a chance to cause fear across most of your troops after 120 seconds and the perfect vigor buff. So remember to keep your troops in battles constantly to keep it ticking. Finally, they bring the Markman's Nesh, which improves your magic, so this unit can bring some extra gains when you're using casters. Keep it safe and make sure you launch these into attack in the second wave, so they can bring their combat power but not take as much damage because they're a much smaller unit size than your average unit. The Skull Reapers, an amazing looking unit which is as damaging and mean as their name suggests. They kill for the glory of Khorne and have some of the most expensive infantry in the game, coming at 1,440 points. I clear 400 points over the Champions of the Raven. If you so desire, you can bring 2 of these units to cause havoc on the front line. High unit count, but a huge damage which is 50% armor piercing, and another unit that brings magical damage to the front line. They have Frenzy in the shape of the Mark of Khorne buff, so it can be frustrating if they start to rampage and they can be picked off by a clever opponent. Make sure you support these troops. If they get peeled off by the enemy, you want a support unit to follow them so they don't get too outnumbered, and then they can cause all kinds of hell on the front line. The Hell Riders of Slaanesh, the fastest cavalry unit available to the Warriors of Chaos. They are armoured but shielded. These worshippers bring some extra speed for chasing down enemy archers and routing units. With a good charge bonus, these are your classic hit and run cavalry. Due to their light armour, keep on skirmishers that will work your way around the flanks with the vanguard they get and take out some artillery. They don't hit hard after the charge, so make sure they don't linger or the enemy experience or anti-yardage will tear them apart. Thanks for watching this overview of the Boyz to Boyz mod. If you fancy watching some battles I have done on the campaign and in custom battle, click on the link in the middle.